Street food. It's an essential part of the global culinary experience, offering mouth-watering dishes that reflect the heart of a culture. But is all street food safe? And what happens when hygiene standards fall short? In India, street food is everywhere. From the crowded streets of Mumbai to the vibrant markets of Delhi, the food is delicious and affordable. But with great crowds come great risks. Many vendors operate in unsanitary conditions, with food left exposed to dust, flies, and environmental contaminants. Water quality is often an issue, and food handling can sometimes be careless. Dishes like golgappa, dahi puri, and chaat, which use raw ingredients or contaminated water, can easily lead to foodborne illnesses. In Nigeria, street food is an important part of daily life, but in some parts of the country, hygiene can be lacking. Vendors may use unclean cooking oils, and meat can be stored improperly. Reused cooking oil and unsanitized equipment are common, putting the food at risk for contamination. Popular foods like suya, spicy meat skewers, and puff, fried dough, can be a breeding ground for bacteria if hygiene is neglected. Indonesia is famous for its street food, but in some parts the risk of contamination is high. Street vendors in busy areas may not always have access to clean water or refrigeration. Raw ingredients, especially meat, can be exposed to the elements, and food is often prepared in unsanitary conditions. Dishes like satay and fried rice are common, but they can easily be tainted by poor food handling or improperly stored ingredients. Water and improperly cooked meats are often the culprits behind foodborne illnesses. Mexico's street food is famous for its flavor, but foodborne illness can occur when food is exposed to contaminants. Many vendors, especially outside tourist areas, may not have access to clean water or proper sanitation, leading to health risks. Tacos, tamales, and elote are delicious, but if not prepared with attention to cleanliness, they can easily lead to stomach problems. In the Philippines, street food like isok, grilled intestines, and lechon, roast pork, is a daily delight. But improper handling of raw meats, unsanitary cooking practices, and a lack of refrigeration are all contributing factors to potential contamination. Improperly stored or undercooked meat can quickly spoil, increasing the risk of foodborne illnesses. Thailand's street food scene is one of the most famous in the world. But it's not without its hygiene risks. In some parts of the country, street vendors may not have access to clean water, and food can be exposed to the open air, increasing the chances of contamination. Somtam, papaya salad, and grilled meats are delicious, but they can cause stomach issues if hygiene practices are neglected. Bangladesh has a rich street food culture, but poor sanitation and a lack of clean water make food safety a concern. Many street vendors operate in crowded, unhygienic conditions, putting food at risk of contamination. Foods like fushka, similar to golgappa, and fried snacks can be problematic if food handling is poor. Street food in Pakistan, such as kebabs and pakoras, is delicious, but it can be unsafe in areas where sanitation is poor. Vendors may not have access to clean water, and meats can be stored improperly. The reuse of cooking oils and improper food storage can cause health risks. In Egypt, street food is a staple of daily life, but it's not without its risks. Many vendors, especially in informal markets, struggle with sanitation issues. Unclean water, poor refrigeration, and exposure to dust and bacteria can contaminate the food. Popular dishes like falafel, shawarma, and kushari can become unsafe if not prepared with care, especially when vendors don't follow basic hygiene practices. The lack of regulation, poorly maintained equipment, and improper food handling are contributing factors to foodborne illnesses in Egypt. Kenya's street food culture is rich and diverse, but in informal markets, the hygiene standards may not always meet expectations. Vendors may operate in unsanitary environments with limited access to clean water, which increases the risk of contamination. Foods like nyama choma, mandazi, and samosas can be prone to contamination if they're not prepared in sanitary conditions. Unsanitary cooking practices, lack of sanitation facilities, and exposure to the elements are key risks when it comes to street food in Kenya. Moroccan street food is renowned for its flavors, but hygiene is sometimes overlooked, especially in smaller towns or informal food markets. Unclean water, improper meat storage, and inadequate cooking practices can all contribute to foodborne illnesses. Dishes like couscous, brochettes, and tagines are at risk if food handling standards aren't followed closely. Contaminated water sources and improper storage are major factors when it comes to unsafe street food in Morocco. In Sri Lanka, street food is incredibly popular, but there are risks, particularly in rural areas. Lack of sanitation facilities, unclean water, and exposure to dust can lead to contaminated food. Popular dishes like hoppers, kotu, and fried snacks can become dangerous if vendors don't have access to clean water or proper sanitation. The risks are heightened when food is prepared in unhygienic conditions, with inadequate precautions against environmental contaminants. Nepal's street food is a fusion of flavors, but there are hygiene concerns, particularly in busy areas like Kathmandu. With limited sanitation facilities, unclean water, and crowded conditions, street food can be a health risk. Momos, chatamari, and other deep-fried snacks are prone to contamination if food safety practices are not followed carefully. Poor sanitation, exposure to environmental contaminants, and cross-contamination are major concerns in Nepal's street food markets. But not all street food is dirty. Many vendors take pride in their food and cleanliness. It's important to remember that food safety varies, and the key is to choose vendors who maintain high hygiene standards. Whether you're in the heart of Mexico City or a small town in Nepal, always look for vendors who prioritize cleanliness, those who maintain high hygiene standards and prepare food with care. Street food can be both delicious and safe when you make the right choices. So, next time you're traveling, remember to enjoy the experience, but stay smart, stay safe, and always check for cleanliness. Your stomach and your health will thank you.